Hello and welcome to the Clashing of Steel. So today I am joined by Reconion.
Yeah, hello.
And he and I are trying to teach you how to play archers today.
Yeah, as you can see right now, we're trying to position ourselves before the enemy gets here. We found this really good courtyard where I can position myself so that the enemy cannot see me, while Hetk is taking care of them in the city. This position gives me a really good advantage, because when the enemy archers get near, they are not able to see me, which means they can't target me. So the only way for them to shoot at me is to use focus fire, and while I can just use auto fire, which we all know shoots a lot faster. Because every time you can use auto fire on enemy archers, it's a lot more useful, especially if they are on the move. If they're standing still, you can use the focus fire, but it has a relatively long cooldown. Usually it's really good to keep your units spread, especially if you're archers, because that means the enemy cannot shoot all of your units at once. But in this place, because the enemy cannot see me, it actually gives me a good advantage to just put them together. The advantage is that the enemy cannot see me in this line of sight, which means their archers cannot auto-fire me. And now as we see the enemy is coming closer, you can see that I'm not running towards them to shoot. I'm waiting for them to get inside my circle that shows me how far I can shoot. As you can see, the enemy slingers are advancing quite aggressively. You shouldn't usually do this. Oh yeah, they had cavalry. I forgot about that. As you can see, I'm waiting for their slingers to stand in one place before using my barrage and rapid fire. I usually use them both at the same time because they shoot a lot faster if they're both used at the same time. I just annihilate them, and they still can't see me, and even if they could, the slingers can't shoot over the walls, which is a really good advantage for me. The thing about slingers is you usually want to play them in the middle of the field, not in the city, because in the city there's too many obstacles for them. They can't really be utilized as well as they could be utilized on the hill. They're also good on open ground because, as I said, they're actually, a lot of people underestimate slingers, but if you use them correctly, they can actually do a lot of good. They can destroy archers from a mile away. As you can see now, I'm firing the enemy archers, but I see that my cavalry is starting to attack them, so I stop for a moment, and I see one group separating from my cavalry, which means I can still keep shooting it. And since it got too close to my allies, I stopped, because I don't want to do a lot of friendly fire. I mean, some friendly fire is okay if it's useful to the team, but now you can see I'm just shooting down their pikemen.
I'm guessing you mean the spearmen.
Yeah, cannon fodder is cannon fodder, doesn't matter.
True enough, true enough.
The thing about spearmen and pikemen is, when you're playing archers especially, you need a smart team. When the team engages them, it's really hard for both of you. For your teammate and you can't really focus the spearmen down. With pikemen, you can focus them down while they're engaged, because the pikemen keep your allies really far away, which means you won't be doing that much friendly fire. You might do some friendly fire, the game is gonna yell you're doing friendly fire, your teammate might start yelling at you, but he's just ignorant. He's getting maybe 5 or 6 arrows per full barrage, while the enemy is taking all the rest.
Yeah, you can often see me in that position just crying because you're doing friendly fire to me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Don't worry about it.
So anyways, now the situation is getting interesting. You can see those swordsmen coming in, and I'm gonna let you continue, I guess.
Yeah, the swordmen are coming in. If I remember correctly, you took care of them, while I shot down whatever was away from our units. He was not defending far enough, so when the enemy pushed in, they could get a vision on me, and the enemy archers started shooting at me, and they hurt a lot. And the thing is, I didn't see them coming. I was focused on something else at the time, and I got punished for it a lot.
But fortunately, those were only remnants, so it wasn't so harsh as it could have been.
If there had been like full forces, I would have lost everything, just the way the slingers lost theirs.
Yeah, so thanks for the friendly fire, right? Of course.
Yeah. I'm doing some friendly fire. If I remember correctly, you even said this unit is lost. Give everything you got.
Yeah, I think I said that.
Yeah, and that's a good call actually, because when I shoot, there's three enemy units in there, while he only had 1 unit there.
Well, I only had 1 unit there.
Yeah, he only had 1 unit there, and the enemy had 3 units, which means I'm shooting a lot more enemies than I am shooting at friendlies. And at the end of the game, that's all that matters. Yeah, sure, I did hurt some of my own allies, but because I hurt the enemies more, it's actually a bit more useful.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. There are many situations where archers actually need to do friendly fire to make the game excel.
Okay, so let's take a look at another game that didn't work out very well for me. In this game, we had a big fight on this hillside.
So probably the biggest problem with this match was that we had a lot of ranged units and we didn't have enough spears or swordsmen to defend them actually.
If you have a chance, you should always queue up with a friend. I usually queue up with him because he's really good at defending my archers. He notices stuff before I see it, and he's on Skype like, hey, pull back or something.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah, it's really helpful for me because a lot of the time I'm actually focusing on where I'm shooting, not where I'm positioned.
I can often see that, like, when you're shooting and all of your 3 units just mass inside one another to shoot at somebody, it's a horrible sight actually.
Yeah, the reason why I'm always looking at what I'm shooting is so that I don't do friendly fire, and that usually leaves my men undefended.
By the way, wouldn't this map be better for the Slingers?
It would appear so at first, but there's too many cliffs on this side of the map. When you go from the south side, you can usually see enemies from far away, which means you can start shooting at them really soon.
So I'm guessing it more depends on the location of the Slingers, how they position themselves to be great at this map.
Yeah. So if you position yourself so there's no high obstacles between you and the enemy, you're gonna do great. You can even actually take down a full squad of cavalry.
Although Slingers don't have barrage, they usually make it up in the range.
Yeah, the range is really good on Slingers. As I said before, you can take down full team of cavalry. Not full team, but one unit, which is really good if you have like one cavalry coming for you. Instead of running, sometimes it's better to shoot at them.
Yeah, but often I'm seeing like Slingers are good at long range doing damage to lightly armored units, but when they're fighting against like armored legionnaires, I see them often being quite weak.
Yeah, I remember one game I was shooting at armored legionnaires and I was doing 1 or 2 damage per shot, which is really bad. I was shooting at them for 1 minute and you couldn't even notice that any health was missing. So let's get into targeting. You should target archers and light armored units because they take in a lot more damage. As opposed to archers, if you're playing archers, you can take down enemy armored units really easily as well. Well, not actually easily, but a lot more easily than versus Slingers.
So, what type of arrows do you prefer?
I usually prefer the ones that take away the damage, but give me some range. On maps like this, you can't hide from the enemy archers, which means your best chance is to outrange them. When using long-range arrows, you don't do as much damage, but doing damage to your opponent before they damage you means you can take down some men, which means their fire will be a lot weaker against you.
So I'm guessing there's no point in using those light arrows against any shielded or armored units anyway.
Yeah, on these huge battles, you should only use them against enemy ranged units. But if the enemy is capturing your base, they're also useful for decapping at those critical moments. It has saved me a lot of games just because I activated the consumables and I could decap them at this like was maybe 1 millimeter from capture, and I decapped the whole team. I haven't really gotten into any other consumables because I only use the ones that you have to activate. The reason is sometimes you get really wrecked with your archers. Like you don't have to be a bad player to just get wrecked. I don't see any other useful arrows. Like there's some that have armor penetration. Since I'm usually playing with Hetk, I don't really have to take care of heavily armored units. I don't usually have to take care of them before they reach me. The reduced armor damage but increased normal damage, those ones actually can be useful against enemy archers as well.
Typical archer wars.
But I usually find myself in situations that require long range arrows. And they're also good against horses, because horses also don't usually have a lot of armor. The flaming arrows can be useful if you're planning on flanking your opponent because they actually reduce morale a lot. So in conclusion, avoid doing too much friendly fire, find someone to defend you, try to get the drop on enemy archers, and use consumables when necessary.
Well, that was actually a lot. Anyways, thank you for teaching us how to play archers.
Yeah, anytime.
Anyways, don't forget to subscribe and thanks for watching.
See you on the battlefield.